Okay, shalom. I just recorded this video, but I don't know where it went. It seemed to disappear, so I'm going to re-record it. So the question is the Book of Jubilees inspired? So first of all, the Book of Jubilees was first discovered by R.H. Charles in, I believe, the 18th century in the Ethiopic text, but then later was discovered in the Dead Sea Scrolls, originally written in Hebrew. And we know the Dead Sea Scrolls existed around the time of the Septuagint was originally written, or maybe even before that. So 300 to 400 years before Yeshua, that's how old it is. And then it was translated from Hebrew into Greek, and then from Greek into Ethiopic, and has been preserved in its fullness, in the complete Book of Jubilees in Ethiopic. And it is considered inspired and part of the canon of the Ethiopian church. So I did read it. I do believe it was written by Moses. Much like the Gospels, we have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They give you different angles, different perspectives of the life of Yeshua. So the book of Genesis and the book of Jubilees are like that, whereas Genesis gives you one angle, but the book of Jubilees gives you much better angle, actually, more complete, thorough account of the events as to the motivations of what happened, the background of the story, every little detail. It is one of the most emotional books I ever read. There's a lot of heart in it. When I think of one of my favorite scriptures in all of the Tanakh, it is Genesis, I think 29:20, where it says that Jacob served Laban for 7 years for Rachel, but they seemed to him like a few days for the love he had for her. And the book of Jubilees was replete in this kind of language, just very much heartfelt. And these people, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Rebecca, Jacob, Rachel, like everyone just seems more human, more relatable. So I strongly, strongly recommend it. I 100% believe it is inspired. It should be part of the canon. Obviously, it was written in Hebrew originally, which means that it was part of the Hebrew canon at one point, but then was removed for whatever reason. There are a lot of different ideas there as to why, but it's a very good book. I think it should be mandatory reading for all believers. There's so much heart in the book. It really gives you more information as to why people did what they did. It gives you the motivations of their heart. These people become more real, and my faith was strengthened by reading this book. I was greatly encouraged by it. And so I strongly encourage all believers to read this book. I believe it's inspired, again, very good read. And, in the Sefer, the book called the Sefer, it's a collection of books that they decided to include the book of Enoch, Jubilees, and Jasher. And that's what really led me to opening my mind up and considering those books, prove whether they're inspired. Because it says prove all things, test all spirits, whether they're from Elohim. And, so far so good. I've read Enoch, the Ethiopic version. It's up there in my book stand there. And I've read Jubilees now, and now I'm going through Jasher, and I've found no contradictions. I've only found the opposite. It only builds on what I already know about the Shabbat, about the Moedim, the holy days in Leviticus 23. It builds on the Shemitah years. It builds on the Jubilees. It builds on all the Torah. It makes it greater. It doesn't diminish it. Much like Yeshua, who fulfilled the Torah. He brought a higher standard. He made it more. He magnified it. He made it more less of a burden, but more of a spiritual law. He opened up the spiritual aspect of it, where it's not only the outward things of what you do, but what you actually think in your mind, what you feel in your heart, what your real intentions deep down inside. So that's all I have to say about that. Originally, this was 15 minutes. So I guess I got under 5 minutes. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what else to say about this. I don't know what I missed, but it is 50 chapters. It took me a few weeks to read it. Really good book. Book of Jubilees. Strongly, strongly recommended. And I read this version. Let me just show it to you. I'll post the link in the description. It's from theanonymous.org, and it's by George H. Schade from, it was translated in 1888, this English translation. So I'll just show you what it looks like. So it looks like that. Anyway, I will post the link in the description. So I don't know what happened to my video that I just did doing exactly this, but in 15 minutes. But anyway, it's gone. So as I'm re-recording that. Okay, shalom, and till next time.